This is the 415 Fortune, where sound finds purpose.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Backroads Revival. We back in the building, baby. This is episode 3. Super pumped to kind of just keep this thing moving and hop into some other cool topics that we're going to discuss today. You know who I am. I'm the 415 Fortune. This is Jen. Thank you guys for watching. And so, yeah, let's just hop into it. I mean, I think that, a lot of the stuff that we were kind of discussing in the last, there were some really good questions in there. I think today maybe we just just dive a little bit deeper into some concepts, into some cool things that maybe the audience might be interested in knowing and see where it goes.
I think maybe even starting from the beginning and just like as a youth, can you think of some things that were your parents really into music?
My first ever concert I think I ever went to, and this is a funny story, but my first concert I ever went to was a Prince concert because my uncle Mac, he's always been a lighting guy and has worked with numerous artists and gone on tour with numerous people, and so he, I guess, called my dad and my mom and was like, come out to this concert or whatever. So, and I think I was probably like 5.
I was just gonna ask you how old.
Yeah, I was like 5 years old. So going to see a Prince concert at 5 was like probably the scariest thing anybody could have done to a kid,
Oh, pretty traumatic. Was it the Purple Rain?
My God, I have no idea. I mean, I was literally, they tell the story because I was like hugging my uncle's leg. Like I wouldn't let my uncle's leg go in the lighting area.
Don't like this man in a purple costume come and get me. What would you say really shaped your music interest as a youth?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, most of my musical influence, I think, very early on was just more rock, rock influence.
Like middle school age.
Yeah, and then went into hip hop and then rap and I mean everything. I think that from the moment I really, from the moment that I can remember that I started really getting into music, I really liked all types of music. So
Same.
yeah, so
agree.
I didn't have a specific thing I was really into. I mean, I was surfing a lot, I was skating a lot. I mean, and those two things I still love to do today. Those are huge. I love doing those. So, but yeah. Anyway.
Now, did your parents love music?
Yeah. So, and I don't remember when I was super young. I really don't remember artists that they were playing. I couldn't tell you artists that they played a lot,
Yeah, I don't know. My parents listened to a lot of faith-based music, but I do remember they had a record player and they had Alabama and they had, of course, James Taylor and, all the greats like Johnny Cash and the Eagles and Journey. And then some family friends too, the dad, he had so many records, and so after school we would go listen to his records, and he had all types of classic rock and old country and really one hit wonder classic rock bands oh my goodness, I can't even remember, but he had stacks of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool that I don't think too many people were really exposed to so many different genres. But I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe it's more common than we think, but it was definitely interesting for sure.
And the radio was a really, really big back then too.
Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, I ended up on a career day or something. There was this guy who he was a scientist in San Francisco, and he came in and he was showing us that they were working on this thing where they could channel sound to be able to under a microscope channel it at certain cells. and then like they would play certain frequencies and it would break the cell apart.
Wow.
And they were really trying to use, I think they were like gearing it towards like cancer research stuff.
Going back to like the sound and the frequencies, about how like frequency and sound, and even on those same lines like words, how like they can either create life or like destroy it, even on a cellular level. That's pretty like impactful.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of there's a lot of theories about sound in general and like frequencies, and there's a lot of truth to a lot of it, but it's way more powerful than people understand. There's a lot of things that you can do to manipulate sound that can do a lot of cool things, if you understand certain frequency bands and how to manipulate it in certain ways. It's a very in-depth thing that you can really dive into and, end up studying your whole life about how to make certain things happen,
When you went to college, fast forwarding a little bit, like they teach you all about in music production frequencies and all
Yeah.
that.
I think it's mostly like an overview. It's not really diving in on specific topics, but you get exposed to certain things, and I think that, you know, for me, frequencies have always been very interesting, like how to manipulate them. Like there's certain frequencies that can make you happy. There's certain frequencies that can make you angry. There's certain frequencies that can make you sad. So just even manipulating those sounds within these specific frequency bands can actually alter your mood.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of other artists that talk about a lot of other things that the record industry kind of has done, engineers have done over the years with regards to like sweetening audio, like which basically means when they used to cut records to tape, they would speed the tape up just ever so slightly, which would change the whole pitch and tone and frequencies of the actual, yeah, to make it sound better and to make you like the music more.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that
It makes it more of a marketable product. That's pretty interesting, just based on like frequency.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
But like at that stage, was there like a particular artist or song that like you felt really connected to or like really resonated with you?
It would probably have to be between like Tupac and DMX. Like it would have to be between one of those two. No, I mean, I like just their ways, the ways that they communicated and they painted pictures. Scarface does this too. I feel like a lot. Jadakiss does it a lot too.
Yeah.
There's this way when they paint a picture, and they can go in and it's like just very poetic about the words and the way that they paint with their words,
Yeah.
and I've always been a huge fan of that. And I try and emulate that. I try to emulate when I sit down and I write, I try to emulate like that, how they paint, like I want to paint like that. I want you to feel like when I say, a verse or when I write a verse, like I want you to feel that.
Yeah.
I want you to be there where you can I can almost like take you to that space with me.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, sometimes, well, words are so powerful, and when, people are telling a story and they paint that picture, it's like you feel like you're like literally like in that same scene sitting next to them. I love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can like feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they make it so clear with their words, which is it's an art in itself.
Yeah.
You know, great adjectives to just like describe like the scene, the moment, the feeling,
Yeah.
You do a great job of that. And you can see that, you know, a lot of times like people that you appreciate in life, like you grab hold of like those positive characteristics and want to like continue that on. Yeah. Now, like when you were younger, did you have like any sort of like um faith base or were you just kind of like because I know like Tupac and DMX, you can tell that they have a base of faith in their music. Did that connect with you at all?
Was raised Jewish, and like, but my connection with God was never really like, there was not like a cohesiveness. I didn't understand fully when I was younger how important that relationship actually is, and that relationship is, there is room for you to actually have a relationship. When I was younger, I think I just did it, I just go to temple and I would, and I would do as traditions were shown, like, yeah, like family tradition things. But it was never really like, I never had that connection. God wasn't a part of any of my decision process. It wasn't,
Right.
you know, it wasn't like that yet.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen until very later on in my
Yeah.
life. So
And like when they would talk about, faith in their songs, did it perk something in your head, or do you just kind of like, oh, that's like what they're writing about, what they're singing about? Or your heart, I should say, your head and heart.
yeah, I mean, I don't even think I remember hearing certain things. Like I think like DMX would have like like every album he would have a prayer. There'd be like a prayer track on the albums that he would release, and like I don't ever remember hearing that and thinking to myself, oh, like there's more to this. It was never like that. Like I think that I just didn't have that connection. I didn't know that it was possible to have that. It was possible that there was more than what was that was like at flesh level.
Yeah, the natural. Yeah. So like that kind of like rap was like definitely like more gritty.
Yeah, definitely more gritty. And but I was young, I was young. I was angry. I was real angry about a lot of things. Like I was just, for me, I think just the way that I was like grew up, like the things that occurred, I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand why things were the way they were, like, being adopted. I didn't really understand, what the situation was with that. I didn't understand why, my mom left, like who adopted me, I didn't understand a lot of things. And I think I was just angry. And so I, ended up, just getting into a lot of trouble and, drugs, and, that's a whole nother thing. And so, but yeah, I mean, music, I think for me then was more about like just expressing myself. Like it was an avenue for me to kind of just release and write things that I felt and be able to have that expressiveness,
I I remember being like an angry teenager too. I don't know, maybe it's just like you're getting older and like hormones, and I don't know, it's like a really strange time. And I think sometimes like in life when you have some unfortunate things happen and then it's, you know, near your teenage years, it's just like fuel to the fire kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think,
And there was definitely like what you talked about. There was definitely things to be angry about too.
yeah, I mean, I just was very angry. I was just very angry as a kid, like I mean, I had fun. I wasn't like 100% all the time angry. I just was just angry at certain things, and I think I used music as like a way to express myself and a way to like get the anger out, about how I felt about certain things. And it was just like, I mean, I still have like like containers of like old handwritten music.
That's so cool.
That I
We need to
wrote.
find that.
Yeah, I know where it is, but it's like,
We need to get it.
yeah, but I have like all like binders and pages and pages and pages and pages of
Oh
written
my
work.
goodness. We should find some of them. We can
Share it.
share a few on a podcast. Backroads all the way back.
Way, way back.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I've heard some of your earlier music even after you were not so much a teenager anymore, and there was a little gritty element to it. Now, how do you think like that expression like kind of shaped you, or how did it change you?
I mean, it definitely shaped who I am. You know, like I think that all the pressure and all of that, you know, I think that that molded me into, you know, there's a part of that still in me. And I just, the way that it gets expressed now is completely different than how it was before. I mean, but it's still there, and it definitely did mold me. It molded me into who I am today. And so, I mean, I'm grateful that I had that it was like that, even though it was kind of tough, you know. But I'm grateful that it was like that, because I wouldn't be who I wouldn't feel like me if I didn't have that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting too, like how those experiences, like, and how you evolve and like change as a person, like how, you can either choose to like have it control you, or you can learn how to channel it in appropriate ways, which you have definitely now.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, to be completely honest about it, I mean, I think that, you know, for a lot of years, I didn't know really, I lost control of, you know, of how to deal with certain things. And like, I couldn't really deal with things. So like, I had no, I had nothing holding me back from doing things that were not in my best interest, you know? And then also having all that extra anger didn't really help. Like you know, and so, and that's I think part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast so bad is because I think that there's a lot of people that have experienced this. And, you know, and maybe even the younger generation, there's people that have experienced this and know what I'm talking about. Being able to have them think about where they're at now and how to kind of get themselves out of dealing with the things that they're dealing with in the ways that they are.
Yeah. And I think it is like music helps us like express, like we're talking about. And I think one of the things that's really cool about your channel too is like you still have a lot of music like from years ago on your channel, and you have all this music on your channel now that is just like full of light and like positivity and hope and love. And I think that's so cool to see like the journey
Yeah.
of like how you've evolved, and like how there's this, element of like faith that came into your life that really like, you know, has made you a happier and more positive person too.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
know how to like express in like positive ways too.
Was younger, I didn't know that I didn't know anything else other than self. And so like I only thought about everything that went on at self level, like flesh level. So I didn't know there was anything else out there. So, you know, which kind of sucks, you know, because like I think that if I had had that like spark kind of earlier on, I think that it would have helped me deal with a lot of things. Maybe I wouldn't have gone down certain paths I walked down. But but you know, with that being said, I think that you have a choice, and you have a choice on how you're going to deal with the things that you feel, you know, you have a choice about how you're going to deal with things that happen to you.
Yeah.
And you
And
don't
how to look at them
Yeah, and
too.
you have to be, they're not going to write your story.
Yeah.
You know, and understanding that that just because these things happen to you, it's not the end of your story, and it's not going to label you that, you know?
Yeah. I agree. And I think too, when you're young, like you don't really know how to deal with emotions either. You know, you don't really know. And it's sometimes it can take a lifetime to really like to deal with things too when, you know, you don't have the right tools or resources, you know. But I think that what am loving about this podcast is there's like a lot of, I think, helpful ideas and conversations about like there's always a higher way. There's always like a better way to see things and live life. And, to your point too, just because, a lot of times being bombarded in the natural world, you get used to things that you see. But I think remembering that there's a whole nother life on the other side of like the now that is full of possibilities too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool. And like, how would you say, like, did you just like decide in that season of your life when you were like in high school that like you just wanted to make like rap or hip hop music, or is that just kind of like the culture you were immersed in?
I think there's a lot of nature in it, because I was just around a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, I was around a lot of people who were around a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So like
It was a part of your life.
if I expressed and musically as a youth, I think a lot of it was nature based because of just just like being around in certain environments and stuff, and like, you know, having certain experiences, like hanging around certain people, being exposed to, certain things.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I knew how to express it. I mean, it was like, I think originally it's like the cool thing to do, but like,
Yeah. It was
but
like rap and hip hop. It was
yeah,
like very like in style
yeah,
when we were growing up.
yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it was very much like the hip thing.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Backroads
Bye. See
Revival,
y'all
baby.
next time.
Yay.
This is the 415 Fortune, where sound finds purpose.